Yesterday, President Trump announced that we will thankfully not be taking further action against Iran as long as they also continue to stand down and we can get this mess behind us. But he also pointed out an important fact to the American people that's not going over very well with the Democrats.
Iran's hostilities substantially increased after the foolish Iran nuclear deal was signed in 2013. And they were given $150 billion, not to mention $1.8 billion in cash. Instead of saying thank you to the United States, they chanted death to America. In fact, they chanted death to America the day the agreement was signed. The missiles fired last night at us and our allies were paid for with the funds made available by the last administration.
Pointing out that Barack Obama enabled and emboldened the Iranian regime isn't sitting very well with the liberal media industrial complex. In fact, it made Cuck Todd virtually speechless.
I think it is notable at how ham-handedly the president tried to politicize this by blaming the previous administration for financing. We're glossing over that. The sitting president of the United States accusing essentially the previous president of helping to finance Iranian weapons is quite remarkable that he's willing to push the envelope like that with this office. I mean, I guess at this point we shouldn't be surprised that he does these things anymore. It's still a remarkable thing that he actually did it.
Yes, Cuck, it is remarkable that we finally have a president who is willing to reveal the truth. Don Lemonhead is very disappointed that he can't blame President Trump for starting World War III since things have thankfully calmed down.
Isn't that the president's entire MO, create a crisis and then claim that you solved it, then declare victory?
Yes, everything is his fault, of course. Meanwhile, Katie Turd is uncomfortable that there were too many white people, white men specifically, involved in stopping World War III from kicking off.
Good afternoon, I'm Katie Turd. It's 11 a.m. out west and 2 p.m. in Washington, where we are asking once again, where is the evidence? Flanked by stern, white military men, the president addressed the world this morning following Iran's attack on military bases housing American soldiers last night. White military men.
The globalists would have got away with starting World War III if it weren't for you pesky white men. Congresswoman Ilan Omar is also very sad that her beloved General Soleimani is no longer with us.
I feel ill a little bit. Because of everything that is taking place, and I think every time I hear of conversations around war, I find myself being stricken with PTSD.
The poor woman has PTSD from the loss of her hero. That's interesting because here she is later in the squad's press conference, giggling and gossiping, while Congresswoman Sheila Jackson was recounting the over 4,000 American soldiers who lost their lives in the Iraq War, explaining why we don't want to get involved in another conflict in the region. And it's probably only a matter of time before Snopes debunks this hilarious article from the Genesius Times, I think is how you pronounce it, with the headline, Democrats sue Iran over the right to use death to America as 2020 campaign slogan. I mean, that's pretty much the truth. MSNBC reported that the Iranians were the rational ones, and they have to unfortunately deal with the irrational President Trump to try to resolve this situation.
It's unimaginable to think that in this day and age, it would be the Iranians who are signaling that they want to de-escalate, that they are being rational, that they have in the tweet of the Iranian foreign minister from last night saying, we do not seek war, we do not seek confrontation, but we will defend ourselves. And it is the president of the United States that everybody's watching to see whether or not there's going to be unpredictability, whether or not there's going to be any kind of irrationality in the way he goes forward with this attack. And so it's a very telling signal of how the times have changed.
Even the straight shooter Bret Baier over at Fox News, who is probably the most fair and balanced journalist on all of television, cannot believe how despicable the Democrats' response to this whole thing has been, and summed it up like this.
There is this sense that this president perhaps doesn't get credit when something goes right. Originally, as this all was happening, it was going to be World War III. He's starting World War III, and there's no strategy here. Now, we saw what Iran did in response. We see what the U.S. is saying in response to that. And you wonder whether Trump derangement syndrome factors in to some of the responses you hear publicly here in Washington.
Yes, we do wonder that, Brett. And when Bret Baier is talking seriously about the Democrats having Trump derangement syndrome, you know that they've gone off the rails. The only bad thing about the situation with Iran getting under control is that rapper Cardi B probably won't leave the country now. She tweeted out that she was going to be filing for citizenship in Nigeria as the tensions were growing, but now it looks like she'll probably stay. Well, I assume this means the Democrats and their mouthpieces in the liberal media industrial complex will soon go back to talking nonstop about impeachment, which I believe means that we are now into the 4th year in a row of it. And now that we're in 2020, if you want to save 20% off of any of my shirts from markdice.com, get your orders in before Sunday and use the promo code 2020 at the checkout. You can even get yourself a Trump Claus shirt because I forgot to take it down. So I'm going to leave it up until Sunday and you can save 20% off of that, or an I Love Global Warming shirt, or Liberalism Find a Cure, or any of my awesome designs. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below. Use the promo code 2020 at the checkout and check them out.